This is Sarah Squires bringing you behind the headlines on today's edition of WyoToday Newsroom. Today, I am joined on the show by Jeremy Cruz. He is a board member for the Wind River Cultural Center's foundation here in Fremont County, and we are looking ahead to a pretty cool event coming up called the Rare Relics Roadshow. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
So I know we've got a lot of fun things to unpack here, but I really wanted to kind of hit home with the highlights here with the Rare Relics Roadshow coming up. That's on October 4th. That's this Saturday coming up here. We've got appraisals. This is kind of like an antiques roadshow style event. What can you tell us about what we should expect for this action-packed event?
Yeah, thank you. So on October 4th at the Lander Community Center, we are going to have a professional appraiser all day, and he is there to look at your objects, give you some idea of the provenance and maybe some history and cost value of your objects, mostly for insurance purposes, I would say, but also if you're interested in getting rid of some of your items, we're open to auctioning them off in the evening. And that evening we'll be having a gala celebration where we're bringing in a farm-to-table caterer out of Cheyenne. This caterer is called Crow Creek Catering out of Cheyenne, and the menu that they provided looks absolutely amazing, so we're all excited about that. So we'll have a cash bar, a good dinner, and some auctions, silent and live, and we'll learn a little bit about the history of these objects and celebrate the history of Fremont County.
Well, that's really exciting. I mean, I don't know about you, Jeremy, but I have absolutely enjoyed watching that Antiques Roadshow show and just sort of taking in like the history, the family stories about these antique items. And, I think we always, when we watch a show like that, when we think about those, special old objects, we kind of think back to our own family history and say, you know what, this special object's been kind of passed down generation to generation, and I think I kind of have a handle on the story, but maybe I don't. Maybe I don't really know how old it is, where it came from, that kind of thing. Do you have any objects like that in your family that you're interested in learning more about?
Absolutely. I have two. One is a 1920s era harmony guitar that was gifted to me by my mother's family. And I treasure it. It's kind of priceless to me, but I don't know, should I be keeping my children away from this object? Should it be in a safe somewhere? I don't really have a sense of the actual monetary value. And the other object is my mother inherited what she thought was a Fabergé egg, and we treasured this, and it's become part of the family lore. And we actually did have an expert look at it, and it's basically a tchotchke, it's almost worthless on the market. And that's interesting to know, because that tells me a little bit more about my family's history, and that the things that they treasured were not necessarily highly valuable. It was a treasure because it came from the old country. It came from where they, the origins, so to speak. And so even though, we could never sell it or get any money for it, the story made it more valuable to us.
Yeah. So that sounds like a really fun opportunity for people to kind of dig back into their closets or go up in the attic and, find that, set of silverware that's from great-great-grandma that she, brought over when she came to this country, that kind of thing. I think we all have those cherished things that we maybe want to just learn a little bit more about. So the appraisal portion kind of goes on most of the day. So that's from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Remember, that's October 4th. It's the Lander Community Center. So can folks just kind of stop in throughout that period, Jeremy, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're asking for folks to register. It's free and it's online, and they can find that at windriverccf.com. So that's windriverccf.com. And we're asking folks to register just so we have a sense of who's coming and what they're bringing. But I tell you what, Sarah, if you show up and you've got an original I don't know, an original album from the Grateful Dead or something, or the Beatles, we'll let you in and we'll get you appraised. Okay.
So, there's another component here too. Not everybody, some folks I think like the guitar that was handed down in your family, like the Fabergé egg. Maybe we're not interested in selling, but some people maybe are, and other folks are interested in seeing what is out there too. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about the details for this dinner and auction? How's the auction part going to work?
Yeah, we're going to, as the day progresses during the appraisals, we'll be talking to folks, and as they find out values and are interested, and kind of gauge their interest on whether they're ready to part with that item or not. And we're not going to force anybody to sell anything, of course. But if you're interested, we'll have a conversation and we'll get it on the auction block. And that evening, and I know that we have some items that have already been committed. So there will, even if no one wants to sell their items that day, the day of, we'll have some items that are already prearranged, basically, up for auction, and then we've got some silent auction items as well. And we're bringing in a gentleman named Scott Tarbell out of Loveland, Colorado, and he is a world-class appraiser and auctioneer, and he almost wrote the book on relic firearms. He's got a real deep knowledge of Winchester and Remington firearms, and in addition to that, he kind of focuses on other Western stuff. So he will be performing the auction, and he'll give us a little story, and hopefully we'll raise some money for the people who are giving their items, and we'll raise some money for the museums.
Yeah. So, in addition to all of the interesting stuff that you can explore, bring in your treasures kind of to light here at this Rare Relics Roadshow, sort of behind all of this is a fundraiser here for the Wind River Cultural Centers Foundation. Jeremy, I know you're a member of that board, and it's a relatively new group. Fill us in about what do you guys do at this foundation, and what are we working to support here?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So the Wind River Cultural Centers Foundation is a nonprofit board that supports the 3 county museums. So there's a museum in Riverton, in Lander, and in Du Bois that are funded with taxpayer funds through the county commission, and we come in and try to fill gaps that are left in the budget. And we've done really good work at all 3 museums. In Lander, we purchased a tractor to help with snow removal and lawn maintenance. In Du Bois, we helped fund a new storage facility and workshop. And in Riverton, we funded an air conditioning system, and we're working on some siding and wall repairs in the Riverton Museum. So thus far, we're about 5 years old. The foundation has really attacked things at a kind of piecemeal or one-by-one operation. So the museum identifies a need, we vote on it as a board, and then we go out and raise some money. That's been very effective, and the communities in all 3 towns have really stepped up and put their money where their mouth is. But we feel it's time to kind of expand our reach and swing for the fences a little bit, and we want to get our name out there. It's half the battle is promotion and publicity, and while most folks who live in these communities know about the museums, they might not know about our foundation that's working on the back end to support them. So I'm really glad that you asked, and again, that's the Wind River Cultural Centers Foundation. And just to say it again, we're putting on the Rare Relics Roadshow on October 4th at the Lander Community Center.
Yeah, it's a really unique, I think, a perfect marriage, between this cause that supports our museums and celebrating, treasures with historical background and learning more about our own family's histories, with this event. So that really sounds like a kind of a perfect, joining of the causes. So I hope that you guys continue on this tradition, every year. I think I heard this is a first annual, so I hope that is the plan going forward. Now, Jeremy, can you tell me about what got you interested in kind of stepping to the plate to be on the board and to work on behalf of our local museum systems here in Fremont County?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Sarah. So I was born and raised in Riverton and lived there up until my college years. I went to Central Wyoming College in Riverton. I moved away, after college and went and got jobs, and I found myself back in Riverton about 6 years ago. And I wanted to contribute. I wanted to give back to the community that had been so good to me and was providing a wonderful place for my kids and my family. And I was kind of looking around and just trying to find ways that I could pitch in. And the museum board kind of popped up on my radar. They were looking for a member, and this was the actual county museum board at the time. And so I applied, and the county commissioners were so graceful to allow me to join. And I really enjoyed working on that board. It's filled with people who are very considerate and passionate about Fremont County and about preserving our history. And I just found that very engaging. I really enjoyed being part of the process, looking at budgets and kind of deciding how to allocate what capital we have and making hard decisions. You want to just fund everything, but that's not a reality. So you got to have a group of serious individuals who are willing to make those decisions. So I was on that board for several years, and at the same time, this foundation, the Wind River Cultural Centers Foundation, was getting started. And Mike Zerbel is the president of that, and he asked if I would be willing to join, and I just immediately threw my hat in, and I said, of course, anything I can do to help fund these museums is gonna be a good thing for the community. I think that it's easy to forget how we take for granted some of the things that have just always been there. And the museums have been there a very long time, and that's not by accident. There's people working behind the scenes every day and every year to make those museums viable and to keep the collections in good shape and to tell the story of Fremont County and Wyoming and the greater Rocky Mountain area. So that's how I got involved, and I would encourage all of our listeners to think about different ways that the history of Fremont County is important to them, or the ways that the museums have been important to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we think about our museum system, sometimes our minds kind of immediately go to that building. But there's a real living history here hard at work on our behalf. We not only do we have folks who work for Fremont County museums who are, cataloging history as it happens here on the ground every day and working really hard to preserve those local stories and the families and the generations and the legacies that our families and our ancestors have contributed to the Fremont County history. But it's also kind of history in action. And so I just immediately thought, this past weekend, the Riverton Museum put on kind of an adventure series where they went out and took a group of folks to the Sinks Canyon cave system. And they were they were literally diving into some geologic history here in Fremont County and learning more about that. And so there are so many opportunities to learn about our area and contribute to, the history that we celebrate and that we really need to support the preservation of. Without these folks working on our behalf, I think it would be very easy to lose sight of the important stories and records that we really need to celebrate and preserve. And so I'm really glad that we've got a group of folks who are working on our behalf here with that. Budgets are tight right now, and so we really need to step up to the plate and do our part for the things that really matter to us and our families. And on that note, Jeremy, what are there other ways that we can ourselves step up and support the Fremont County Libraries? I mean, can we pass on donations? What can we do to lend a hand?
Yeah, thank you. there's always a way to get involved, and sometimes it's as easy as writing a check, and sometimes if that's not available, it's as easy as going and volunteering. All three museums have volunteer programs that are quite active, and we can always use another set of hands. It's a great way to pitch in, and it's a great way to kind of learn and see how the museum works and find other ways that you can engage with history. So we always encourage folks to go to the museums and talk to the people that are working for volunteer opportunities. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can always visit windriverccf.com. We always have one or two campaigns rolling around in there that are specific, and you're also welcome to just make a general donation.
Oh, that's wonderful. So if you're just tuning in here, folks, we're talking about the Rare Relics Roadshow. It's coming up here on October 4th. That's a Saturday. It's at the Lander Community Center, and it's something kind of akin to the Antiques Roadshow that we've all seen on television, where you can bring your family treasures and learn more about them, learn about the value, get them appraised, and also check out other people's interesting finds and family keepsakes. So appraisals will run from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. On that Saturday, October 4th at the Lander Community Center. And then there's also a dinner and an auction if you're interested in maybe picking up a rare relic or kind of a piece of history yourself, or if you're interested in selling. That'll run from 6 to 9 p.m. And we're asking folks to register for this event, which you can do at windriverccf.com. You can also learn more about the Wind River Cultural Centers Foundation, which is putting on this shindig, and how you can support it. Now, Jeremy, before we wrap things up here, I wanted to ask you if you can kind of just give me the elevator pitch, or maybe the thing you're looking forward to the most about this big event coming up on October 4th.
Yeah, thank you. The thing that I'm looking forward to is meeting folks who have objects and who are interested in objects. The museums are full of collections, and they're full of objects, but it's the people that interest me. It's those stories. It's where the object came from, how you came about to own it, and what it means to you, and what's going to happen to the object when it's time to pass it on or you're no longer with us. Those kinds of stories are so fascinating to me, and you might think you know the answers, and people have a way of surprising you with their stories.
Yeah, I think that we are going to absolutely learn quite a bit about some of these family treasures, and that the story behind things, I think, is the best part of everything. Well, I want to thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining me here today to talk about the Rare Relics Roadshow coming up on October 4th. Absolutely mark your calendars, and thank you so much for the work you're doing for the foundation.
Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it.